In Old Saybrook, Connecticut, lives the author of the critically acclaimed novel The Narrows, Ann Petry. Her third and latest, it took 5 years. In that time, she brought up a daughter, while writing and rewriting to perfection a book praised for its depth and human perception. The literary world eagerly awaits her next, but her family comes first.
Ann Petry is actually the link between a writer like Zora Neale Hurston, who publishes her best-known novels in the 30s, and the writers who we come to know in the 70s, someone like Toni Morrison, Alice Walker, or Toni K. Bambara. Petry is one of the first women to give us a complicated working-class African-American woman character dealing with issues like racism and sexism.
Well, who published your first short story after you'd gone through all of this?
It was published in The Crisis, which was the official organ of the NAACP. And it was because, and I say all of my life is a result of peculiar accidents, because it was published. A reader at Houghton Mifflin in Boston saw the story and wrote and asked me if I was working on a novel. And if I was, would I submit it for their fellowship award? And I wrote back and said, no, I'm not, but perhaps another year I will be, because it never occurred to me to write a novel. It always seemed to me that that was like trying to climb barehanded up the side of a mountain.
And that's how The Street got started.
That's how The Street got
I
started.
read The Street many years ago when I was a student at Spelman College, and I was just moved by the characters, and I couldn't understand why everyone wasn't reading this book, particularly when I found out that it is the first novel by a Black woman to sell 1 million copies. And it had always been kind of on my mind. And then the New York Times offered me the opportunity to write about a book or an author that I thought deserved more attention. And immediately I knew that I wanted to write about Ann Petry.
One of the things that she writes about is being a Connecticut Yankee, born and raised in Old Saybrook, Connecticut. But she's very clear about the fact that she is not a member of the club. She is not a Connecticut Yankee. In fact, she describes herself as a survivor, born in the USA.
I just wanted people to know that aside from being a phenomenal writer, she was just this hugely well-rounded, kind, generous, ladylike person that just people adored her. My friends used to say, "Oh, I wish you were my mother too," and it was true. She just had this quality about her, and of course she was kind of shy, and she'd sit there quietly and listen to people talk, and then the next thing you know, they'd wind up in a story.
And you get a job that does not tax your brain. Don't let other people use your brains. You get a job where, I guess they don't shovel coal these days, but get a job where you may have to use a certain amount of physical energy, but you're not using your head. You save your head for your own work, your writing. Remember that business about Faulkner wrote The Sound and the Fury, I think, in Boiler Factory. He was the night watchman. Well, he wasn't using his brains. He was just working on his book, but he was being paid. So you look for jobs like that. And you write, and you write, and you write. And you decide in advance that nothing and nobody, you're just not going to be stopped. No matter how many rejection slips, if this is what you really feel, this is the way in which you're going to express yourself, you write.